from it, but this is what I like to get. This is from Econo Day, and you can get this from their website. I'll put a link down below in the description. Of course, you can get us there in the Discord chat as well. This is the 2021 version of the calendar, and internal, they have all of those events that you go and look at. Forex Factory, you know how that is, but it's nice to have it on a piece of paper. I'm going to show you guys why. We want to look out in advance to know what times of the month, again, I usually plan by month, and we can look at it by the year, but you know, who's really going to plan out their stuff at the year? We really want to know a week by week, month over month, when are going to be the good trade opportunities, how to execute and when to execute, and all that good stuff. Now with me here, the hard copy is extremely important, but I also think that you need to print yourself out one of those calendars to also track your stats, to track kind of month over month. If you're tracking your business, you need to be able to see your red days and your green days. As simple as that. As long as you have a calendar where you're tracking red and green and how much that is, that way you can kind of keep on pace. A lot of people have a big problem shifting from a 9-to-5 mentality of making their money over, you know, I work X number of hours, I get X number of dollars, and I am budgeting on a monthly basis, and that's good. But when you shift into a business mindset in trading, this is one of those things that people really struggle with. This really tends to help. Now, this little calendar, you can print this one out, or if you want to make your own, that's fine. But let's talk about how do we know what events are going to come out. We always get this common question on, well, Vinny, what day of the week is best to trade? What hours of the day are best to trade? I'm going to give you guys kind of my opinion, as well as some evidence to back up why I say these things. I hate giving these type of answers, but this is the nature of the beast. There is no way to determine exactly when you should be able to trade. I usually teach people with our strategy, that you are coming in and you are going to trade on your schedule. I really don't care what time of day you're going to come into the markets. You know, some people are like, oh, you got to be in the morning, you got to be in the afternoon. But let's talk about intraday first. We're going to start from the smallest time frame and start to work out to a crescendo with how I'm going to tell you how, if you want to plan out what I call your bonus days, where you're going to know when the markets are really going to get hopping and how we plan and trade those days. I'm going to show you guys that at the end. So let's start from the smallest and work our way up. So if you go into our room and type in !sessions graphic from one of our videos. Again, you can go watch those videos in those videos that I showed you guys from the website there a little bit ago. But on the sessions, we are looking into breaking our day up into 1, 2, 3. This is not really a section right here, and 4. Okay, that is just happens to be, I'm just kind of designating when I tend to start in the afternoon. When I'm doing the afternoon session, this is kind of my peak time when I want to get into the markets. I really like trading the end of the day. I like it for a lot of reasons. I go over that in that video, and you'll go through those on the website there. But this is the breakdown per session per day to the hour. When do I want to be trading? That is, I'm telling you, with our system, it does not matter when you trade. Think about what I just said. It does not matter what time of day you trade. Now, with a caveat, overnight, I do not recommend people trading overnight. However, now again, we're talking about US session. If you are outside the United States, that is a little bit different for you. So let's talk about sessions 2, ! Sessions 2. Okay, so this is the nighttime session. There are advantages. I will not go over all this stuff here tonight, but know that we care about knowing what time am I sitting down at my desk. Okay, how do you plan your day? Well, whatever you need to do. Again, for us, you know, we're dealing with COVID stuff and things, and now homeschooling our children and all that. So we have a little bit of a different morning schedule than I used to when I was kind of, you know, young, and it was all the way back when I was single and no children. As you progress in your life, everybody changes, and you know, you work trading around your schedule with our system. Now, again, everything that I'm saying here tonight applies to AlgoBox and our strategy, the way that we trade. We are here to give freedom of time, and I'll show you guys how we do some of that by the hours that we trade, the numbers of trades that we take, and of course, how to maximize that. Now, so if I'm going to say, well, I would like, I'm in the morning, I'm going to be working with my kids. Okay, so I can't really do the morning session because I'm, you know, doing training for the kids and things, whatever. But I'll come in right here at this beast mode hour. Now, what is beast mode hour? It's not just a single hour. It's a little bit longer than that, almost hour and a half, 2 hours there for that window of time. But what do I know about that time period? Okay, we're going to go watch our video on how I approach the beast mode hour, but basically you need to know that I want to have an idea of the type of session that I'm going to approach. Now, let's give an example that everybody knows. Look, the morning as the open comes, right, you get a lot of momentum and directions, you get a lot of shifting around, you get a lot of action. And again, if that's your style of trade, you like that quick in, like that quick out type of stuff, the morning session, you know, is there. And again, it really doesn't matter if you like it or not. If I'm going in at the open, I have an expectation of what I expect at that moment in time. Okay, if I'm coming in at 11, I actually know that things kind of tend to smooth out here. Things might be a little bit slower. Now, that's not every day, but what I'm looking for at this time of day, I'll tell you guys, I'm looking for the big pivot, right? And the shift and turn. And if it is a day that's going to run, this is the time to get the absolute biggest. If you're going to be trying to hold out a big trade or trying to push out the big one, this is the time to catch that turning point where we push into the end of the day, right? So I know what time and what types of trades. I can look for bigger trades during this time window, right? In the morning, I'm still really trying to get in and out. Target 1, target 2. But in this section right here, right, we know we're looking for some bigger trades. What about the 220 to 1010? Again, I'm kind of going into a lot of detail this. I'm going to leave this here because you need to go into other videos because I really want to focus on some bigger time frames. But I want to point out, starting at the lowest, all the way down to the hour when you're sitting at your desk, when. So to answer the question number 1, what time of day, Vinny? I will tell you, it doesn't matter. I will ask you, as your mentor, what time of day are you best suited to sit at your desk? Think about that question. Write it down. What time of day are you personally suited at best to sit down at your desk? Okay. And by that, I will help you and dictate to you what type of strategies you're looking for. Again, we have about a baker's dozen of those. If you haven't seen some of those, head on over to the left-hand side in the education section and look at the actual strategies themselves. We'll go over those a little bit at the very end just to give you, the new folks a peek at that. But most people who are hanging out here with us tonight are looking for some of the more big picture stuff because you guys already know the strategies and you want to know some of the big picture stuff. How do I plan out my business? So we go from the hour to the day, right? What about the days of the week, Vinny? Is Monday better than Friday? Mondays, Tuesdays, what's best? So there is no specific best day of trading, but there are some things that are very, very consistent. Again, we're trading futures, and I'll tell you that the stock market and everything else actually goes around the futures. Have you guys ever noticed that when you watch CNBC in the mornings that the first thing they're telling you about is, hey, what are the futures markets doing? Oh, the futures markets are up this morning. Why? Because we get to trade 23/5. What does that mean? 23 hours a day, 5 days a week, the futures markets are still moving. The US markets and stock markets, what? They close, they open, they close. Same with the Nikkei, all of those markets around the world, they have open and close times. Futures markets, we're open, right? We're moving. So we kind of dictate how things go. So what does that mean? Things like contract rollover. This is a big thing. Options expirations. These things impact the markets and we can take advantage of those. Earnings report season. These are some big ones that we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes. But what about the day of the week? Okay, right down to the day of the week. What impacts days of the week? Well, we have some things in our room that we talk about. Okay, on a Monday. Let's go to blue here. Okay, so Monday, what do we expect? We expect slow. However, does that mean that any given Monday we can't just explode and have some big movement? No, in fact, we have that on a regular basis. But I always want to set the expectation. What day are you sitting down? When you're sitting down into your desk, you wake up in the morning, you're like, what day is it? Okay, Monday. First thing I tell you, think slow. All right, it's a good day, in my opinion, to wait until that midday session or the afternoon session. If you're normally a morning person, the Monday morning stuff, you might want to maybe move it back a little bit because, quite frankly, the action really doesn't get going most of the time on a Monday unless there were some things from the week before that were pushing it or things that can change things, like what? Earnings reports. Okay, earnings is a big deal. We talk about the around earnings. That's some of our best times of the year to trade. That's kind of bonus time. Just like if you're in a normal job, you're like, oh, well, normal job, I'm making X number of dollars per month and week. Middle of the year or at the end of a quarter, you get to sit down with your boss. They look at how you've done, your performance, and you might have additional bonuses coming in. We have that same thing with the markets. We want to plan our bonus time like a business, okay? And I'll show you guys that on the calendar in the big picture here in just a minute, moving on our way up, okay? So Monday, I'm thinking slow, but can be affected by the higher time frame, right? Which is what? The monthly. Okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, this is what we kind of call the sweet spot. I would love to trade those three days of the week if I had to choose. What do we not have on Tuesday that we have on Wednesdays and Thursdays? So Wednesdays, Wacky Wednesday, we've got crude oil inventories typically coming out on Wednesday, okay? So we always want to know when that news event is, 10:30, already scheduled. Now, what happens if you have a holiday? If you have a holiday, that moves over to a Thursday, okay? Again, these are big picture things that if you're trying to master trading, you need to know these things. I want to put this in the caveat to say, if you are in our program and you're learning our strategies, is this absolutely 100% necessary to know these things? No. In fact, you can trade our system blanket the way that it's designed. We are trading this like a video game. But if you want to plan your size, your bonus time, like if you're really trying to push it, if you're trying to become the best trader you could possibly be, obviously you want to know these things. So again, just those of you who are like a little bit starting to get overwhelmed by this, don't be, okay? Because it is absolutely not necessary. You can come in, sit down at your desk, and do exactly what we always do every day, and execute on the strategy setups: headshot, two finger salutes, HMD, double cross, double move, clusters. Look, you see them show up on the chart, take them, okay? Now, but how do we know if those are going to go to target 3? The rubber meets the road here. This is the difference between the trader making a few $100s a day and the trader making a few $1,000s a day, knowing that, you know what, I'm going to go in some extra contracts and I'm pushing some out for some runners. This is having perspective of the big picture coming in. What? Remember, you can always get this from the higher time frame as well, off of the tide and the wave charts on our higher time frame, which we also, teach you guys how to do. But if you're wondering, well, what about the extra stuff that's going on, like the inauguration that we just had? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, favorites. Now, why Thursday? Man, if you're going to trade overnight, okay, you guys hear me when I talk about this in the sessions too, okay? Wednesday to Thursday is the time for those of you guys in, outside the United States. If you're going to be trading your, afternoon time or morning or whatever, and you're up, look, this is the day to do it. Wednesday to Thursday, okay? Our overnight is your playground. Why? Because on Thursday and Friday, you have payroll numbers, okay? You've got unemployment and you've got non-farm payrolls, NFPs, you hear them called that a lot. Those are coming out on Thursdays and Fridays, so you get this extra boost around the Wednesday to Thursday time, okay? So you get a lot of activity on both of those days. So then Friday. Now Friday is our, what I call early in, early out. We have, historically over time, my Fridays in the past were not great. I'll tell you, our system, over time, we have gotten so much better, right? We've got AlgoBox now. We've got Flowmaster. We've got the Delta. These huge, extremely powerful tools, including our harmonics, are really putting things into a new perspective. Friday is no longer a danger day, right? I might have said in the past, if you guys seen old videos from about 5 years back, Friday was a little bit of a tougher day. Our tools have developed now to a point where that even Friday is nothing to be scared of. So for me personally, this has now become more of a personal choice day for me to try to plan my day, for the family, catching up with things here in the room, all that kind of stuff. And it's really more of personal choice than it is strategy. But Friday, we get that early morning boost. I still think, again, early in, early out. You guys know the rules on that for a Friday. So perspective of the day per week, what days are best? Again, middle of the week, I think are best. Especially, I'm telling you, that Thursday. Like if you had to pick one day a week to trade, if you asked me that question, what day would I tell you to trade? Just one day. If you had one day a week to trade, I would literally say Thursday. Because you also have the most amount of activity coming in on all different things. You have the previous day stuff from crude oil inventories. You have those getting moved over to Thursdays on occasion. You have FOMC happening on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock that has carryover into Thursdays. You also have earnings reports. When you see earnings reports week, what you will find is that the maximum amount of earnings reports are released on Thursdays. So I'll give some rough numbers. You may see 50 to 100 come out on Monday, maybe 200-ish on Tuesday, Wednesday, okay, 100 to 200. But Thursday, you will see 300 to 400 plus, coming in on a Thursday on earnings reports. And that's huge, okay? You can get everybody planning ahead, moving their position, adjusting their position, trying to take advantage of dividends. All of that lands on Thursdays, okay? So everybody got that? Thursdays, if I had to pick a day, that's your day. Then Friday. So there we go. We covered our week, so day by day. So now, what everybody's been waiting for, I hope, is the calendar. I like to open up, flip to the next month, and even, right now as we're coming up to the final week of the month, to flip the books over to the next month to see where those big news events are going to be. Start to talk about lists of things that we might want to know when these events occur. FOMC, kind of a big one, right? I joke about FOMC standing for fear of market conditions. Earnings reports, peak window of time where we have, we can do max damage if you're talking about gaming terms, where we get such huge opportunities when those come. Those have been some of our biggest trading days on those earnings reports. The VIX up, ticks up. Those are awesome days. There are several videos of this on contract rollover. There are things that roll over once a month. Crude oil, it's a good one. Ones that roll over every 2 months, like gold. There are gold and some other, any of the metals, right? Then you have things that roll over every quarter, okay? Every quarter. That's our primary right there. We got all of our E-minis. That's the ES, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, right? Currencies also. So that's the primary one every quarter. So how do you know when that's going to occur? Well, right there on your calendar, and they always roll over at the same time. So contract rollover is a good one, especially with the bucket system. If you know about the buckets, if you're in one contract month and you need to fill the next, okay, this thing's full when it starts out. It's low, and you've got to get all those contracts over here. If they are going to readjust their position, this has to get filled, this has to empty, okay? So that means on one side, if we're up at the highs and they're all, purchased, they've got a long bias, they've got to sell all those before it's up, and then they've got to go into the next bucket. So you see a big shift right here. We can get some big opportunities in both directions on those contract rollover days. So good to look at your calendar to know when those are coming ahead. Mark them on your calendar being like, yes, there are about 3 days there where that volatility really kicks up and we can wait for that big move. What time, right? Come back to that time of day thing, right? 3 to 3:30-ish, right? Big moves. On what? Both of these, right? Time of day on both of these when we talk about those. Well, end of quarter and beginning of month and 15th of the month. When people don't think about this, okay, we'll talk about why. So, end of the quarter. What quarter are we in? I should have probably maybe put that way as well. Okay, you need to know what quarter we're in. The final quarter of the year, biggest quarter of the year, typically, right? We're going to get the most movement around things because, look, there's all kinds of reasons why at the end of the year, you got Christmas, Black Friday, Thanksgiving, holidays. You've got companies trying to meet numbers, all kinds of reasons why people shifting out of positions, closing out their stuff for the year, reinitiating in the following year, all that kind of stuff comes up there in the final quarter of the year versus the first. Now, summertime, right? Summertime doldrums. If you want to take some time off, summertime, a little bit of slow. Everybody says sell in May and go away. You guys might have heard that, or maybe not. Summertime months, a little bit slow. That quarter is going to be a little bit more tricky in general. So summertime, a little bit tougher. Beginning of the month. So what happens at the beginning of the month? 401k money comes into the markets. It must be allocated. There is no option for that to be. So you have a forced mandate for those to be filled. So look at the first of the month. You know that lots and lots of people get paid on the first of the month. Now, why more so around the first of the month versus the 15th? Because some people are only paid once per month. So which one is better? 15th of the month or the first? Right? In my opinion, the first of the month. Okay, you're going to get the most amount of volatility, plus you get a little bit of the end of the month stuff right there. So beginning of the month, first, second, third, fourth of the month. Okay, that first week inside of a month, this is going to be the best times for that movement as well, especially around times if people received bonuses. That happens to be another thing about the end of quarter over here. People are anticipating those bonuses or receiving them here in the first. So here in January, another great month. Again, shoot, that was a huge first week already this year as well. That movement comes in, bonuses come in, they get allocated, all that kind of good stuff beginning of the month. Most people are paid, maybe at the end of the month, right? But it's going to be paid there at the first, get allocated on the first. And then you got the people who are paid every 2 weeks, okay? That tends to happen around that time. And then you got people who are paid twice per month. But that always guarantees that they're coming in the first of the month. So again, lots of reasons why we get extra volatility at the beginning of the month, just in general, if you're looking at the calendar, okay? 15th of the month, why there? Only a little bit extra there because you're gonna get that oomph from the people getting paid in the middle of the month, right? Now, that also can sometimes fall on a schedule where people are getting paid every 2 weeks. That's a whole nother gambit, because that's different. That's not applying to this. So really, we're more talking about the people getting paid in the 1st and 15th, which there are a whole lot of people in the US and outside the US that have that, but the 401k money has to be allocated immediately. There is no choice for that. So those algos have to kick off to start to fill those positions in the mornings. So we get that great movement off of that. Now, how do I like to do it? I like to actually circle my days. It's as simple as circling them so I can look at a month at a glance. Today is the 21st. I'm right here on Thursday. Next week, Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, if this week were tough for some reason, it's nice to be able to look ahead and go, yeah, so had a couple of issues this week, didn't hit my targets. That's okay. Next week, I get some big opportunities on Tuesday, Wednesday. Mentally, you're preparing yourself. Does that change what you're able to execute? No. But I think if you mentally prepare for what you're about to, approach, I think that is extremely handy. So put it on that calendar, circle them like I do. And if you want to label them or do something more, if you guys have suggestions for what you guys like to do in your calendar, or suggestions for me, let me know. Put it down in the comments, and maybe we'll talk about it in our next video, do a little highlight on it. But that is what I wanted to cover from the big picture. Now, so is there anything bigger than at the month and the quarter level? Not really, right? What year? I could talk about 8-year cycles if you want, but that's it. Down to the hour, the day, the month, and the quarter. And that is a wrap. I will catch you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, early in, early out on Friday. Happy Friday if you're just watching this later on. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. For me, Pippi, Robbie, Lunchbot, Mod Squad, Curtis, G, and the rest of the gang. Let's send out the Big H Town. See ya.